Good evening, afternoon, or morning.
Well,
This
depending
is
on
the
where you
Untold
are.
Radio Network. My name's Jay Katz, and I'm joined each week by my extraordinary wife, Aspasia.
Yes, you are.
Now, we've got an important message. This is a pre-record. Right at this moment, Aspasia and I should be floating somewhere in the South Pacific doing field research for Untold Radio. We are
Yeah.
checking out the anomalies of the islands.
Yes, we are.
We're
In
actually out
Noumea.
there. Yes, Mystery Island.
We've heard some stuff, so
Leafu,
we're going to go. We're going to
Isle of
combine it.
Pines.
We're combining it with a family holiday.
Yeah,
so,
that's
yeah.
exactly where we should be. So
Yep.
we will hopefully be joining you in the chat. But
Mhm.
if we can't, we're probably caught in the middle of a tsunami or a freak wave somewhere, and just bear with it. Tonight, we're actually dipping into a pool that we need to dip into, don't we?
This is our passion.
This is our life.
This is, well, it's not our life. I
It's
mean,
where
music.
two worlds collide.
Yes, it is. Film is one of our big passions. I mean, you were on the SBS movie show here in Australia, doing being a film critic for a couple of years. So
Yes,
you
I'm
know,
still actually on that network with no residuals. Now, if you can link into SBS, one of the greatest
The Vice
multicultural
on Vice
broadcasters
Channel.
in the world,
Yeah.
Vice Channel, 11 a.m. Australian Standard Time.
that's right.
You should be able to see me 20 years ago. Can you believe that? And
That's
not 1
bizarre.
cent in residuals. We
Wow.
believe so much in film
Yes, we do.
that we don't own a film till we actually own the original broadcast print of that film.
Yeah.
And what is this, Miss
That's
Jeff?
right.
We
In
hear all
Search.
these people go, oh, wow. You know,
Well,
I watched In Search
we
of. It was
did-
part of my childhood.
We do
We
have the
own
In Search
In
of
Search
box
of.
set, but we do have a few episodes of 16mm In Search of.
And what's this one?
That one's In Search of UFOs, isn't it?
In Search of Earth Visitors.
Earth
There's
Visitors.
a difference, Miss
Yeah,
Jeff.
there is.
It really is.
There is.
That is the film itself.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Earth Visitors.
Yep.
Anyway, what else have you got there,
I'll
Katz?
tell you what I've got here, and
Yeah.
I love a bit of
So-
show
oh my
and tell.
God, I just got a whiff of that vinegar syndrome.
That's tell them
going.
what vinegar syndrome
Vinegar
is.
syndrome is the chemical breakdown of emulsion film.
It's when it
It's
dies.
like, can I have some
Do you see what this
some
is,
chips?
people?
What's that one?
Okay, I'm doing this so wrong.
Uh,
In Search of Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah, the
copy
In Search of
A.
Bigfoot,
That
yeah.
is it. That is the
That's the
gold episode.
Paterson-Gimlin
16
footage
millimeter.
there. Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's the big one.
And we've got features here. We've got a very rare feature.
And this is one of, we'll talk about this film. No, round the other way.
Oh, God.
There it is. Okay. Curse of Bigfoot.
Two
okay.
reels.
2 reels of that.
16 millimeter. You ain't seen anything.
What a
have
waste
you
of
seen?
film, but
Oh,
anyway.
don't. And that's an interesting film because
It is a very
was first shot
Let's
in
not
19...
go in there. Let's not go in there. Let's save
All right.
it for the
Okay.
thing. So, okay.
Look, most important, we always start with we're broadcasting here on stolen land, part of the Gadigal Nation, the Aurora.
Eora people.
Yes, and we pay our
acknowledge-
respects
that's right, we
and
acknowledge.
acknowledge
Yep.
elders past,
present,
present,
and
and
emerging. Absolutely.
And look, this is going to be a real sidetrack, isn't it? This is like
It is.
mysteries and scandals of cinema. Without the fame as a bitch, without the misogynistic
That's
edge
right.
of
Exactly.
AJ
Oh my
Benza.
God. Anyway.
Now,
So it's Yeti, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch go to the movies. So first of all, there was the legends, there was the myths, there was the sightings, and then of course, as cinema and film often does, it starts to imitate life. And
exploit
these,
the hell out of it.
well, look, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti films always gets bums on seats.
Yeah.
So
But because the hominid, the parallel hominid
Mhm.
initially,
Yep.
and still to this day, has so much noise around that signal, so much ridicule, so much evidently hoaxing, and so much, disbelief, that it was relegated to
the B
the B
and Z
picture.
great picture.
Well,
Yeah.
it went all the way down, and we'll show you today, into the independent
Oh
Z
my
grade
God.
picture. And what I assume you and I became to know as psychotronic cinema.
Psychotronic
Thank
cinema,
you, Michael
yes.
Weldon. Let's
Yes.
just have a look at his
Oh, yeah, okay.
incredible encyclopedias
So,
that assist us to find films that are other.
yeah,
Films with virtually no budget, but they transcend their limitations to become absolutely entertaining for all the wrong reasons.
that is our Bible.
That
Ours
copy-
is falling to bits.
it hasn't had, I
Seriously.
think it's had one reprint, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
It's now worth hundreds of dollars
I know,
up on
I
eBay.
know.
Ours is like in tatters, but it's still there.
We have thumbed through that.
And
so
then
many times.
Michael followed that
That's
over
right.
20 years later
With
the video guide.
the psychotronic video guide.
Now,
So
psychotronic means other.
yes,
Films in which, mic stands and cameras can appear.
yeah.
Actors and actresses seem to step off the script and become something else.
Or filmmakers that are so passionate, or people that are so passionate about making a film for whatever reason that they're so inept at it, but they still do it.
Ed Wood
is pretty much a psychotronic director for sure. All his films are psychotronic.
But when it comes to the films we're looking at in terms of the history of the Yeti,
yes,
Bigfoot and Sasquatch in cinema, we've gone way below Ed Wood at times here. We have reached a world of.
And here's the reason: there's so many have been made. I mean, I went and looked up a list to try and find, how many films with Sasquatch, Yeti, Yowie, abominable snowman. Well, very few with Yowie,
if any.
But any with that parallel hominid. And I did find a list on the IMBD, which is the International Movie Database, of 251.
Right.
Okay. So there's no way. And of course,
near the truth.
There's more now. More are being made now. Bigfoot and Sasquatch films, features are being made now than ever before. They're coming out all the time. Absolutely. So there's no way that we're going to be able to do a comprehensive look at all these films. So what we've decided to do is talk about the ones that we know about, because we've seen most of them. But also ones, and the beginning of it.
Yeah, the birth of it.
The birth of it, where it started, how it started, why it started.
And how it was born was with the Yeti and not the Bigfoot.
That's right. The abominable snowman.
And so that was because those reports received a lot of media attention, because it cost a lot of money to go and mount an expedition off to the Himalayas.
It still costs a lot of money to go and climb Everest.
And even though there's an astoundingly profound history that goes back through all supposed myth, folklore, and what I believe is truth, right to the dawn of any documentation. And these things, of course, appear in glyphs all over the world.
They do.
And prehistoric glyphs.
They're in totems.
But what we have to think about, by the early 20s, there were these expeditions from the West that wanted to go into Tibet and the Himalayas.
They wanted to climb the highest mountain.
Why?
Because got no idea. There.
So they would, exploit the poor Sherpas.
Well, they gave them jobs.
I feel that's still happening today to a certain extent. And those Sherpas would tell them these stories about the Yeti.
Yeah.
And I think initially it was 1921 when the term abominable snowman.
Abominable snowman,
And that was because they actually discovered a print there. I think it was Colonel Charles Howard Bury. However you pronounce it.
Bury.
Yeah. That's why I'm not on SBS today, and I used to be 20-something years ago. And I think they were at 20,000 feet, and they found, and he asked the Sherpas about it, and they said it was the wild man in the snow. And, of course, a journalist, just like Kenneth Arnold, was looking at crescent-shaped objects that became flying saucers.
Yes.
That's where they got the term abominable from.
The abominable snow. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one, isn't it?
But there were these huge expeditions that kept going on, and I think they got to the point in 1951 where Eric Shipton had got photographs. I think Peter Byrne, who goes way back with Tom Slick, and both of them were carousers. They'd be searching for Bigfoot, Yeti during the day, and in the evening, check out those stories of Tom Slick.
Whoa.
Oil,
very slick,
multi-millionaire, mounted his own expeditions. Anyway. Peter Byrne and him.
Now,
Peter Byrne saw one in 58 at a glacier there. And Edmond Hilary, of course, is probably the most predominant name that resonated.
Sir Edmond.
Through the world.
New Zealander.
And a New Zealander. So hence, those people over there in the US of A that are going, what are Jay and Aspasia doing over this side of the hemisphere? We kicked this all off. If you'd actually watched one of our podcasts, we had Sir Francis Chichester talking about a UFO sighting he had
back in the day,
1931.
That's early.
It took a New Zealander to actually bring this into Western consciousness.
Now, what's that story about that famous movie star?
Oh, Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Jimmy
what was the
Stewart.
story there?
I think they were trying to smuggle
That was
one
Tom
of.
Slick, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Tom Slick. I
Yeah.
think it was Peter Burns. So I
Yeah,
think
right.
they were all in there. Gang of Thieves.
Yeah.
Quote me, allegedly. I
Yeah.
could be completely wrong. But they were smuggling out the
Well, they
Yeti
smuggled
finger.
a
They
finger.
smuggled it out to Britain, didn't they?
So did they break it off?
Why
But what
would
was
you
the story?
use someone with the profile of Jimmy Stewart? Could he actually just glide through customs?
Well, maybe he did. Maybe everybody was so
Enamored.
in awe of him that they just went, "Oh yes, go ahead, Mr. Jimmy, just go through." Now, Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
He apparently
Not Jimmy Smith, the organist. No.
He actually hid the finger in his wife's lingerie luggage.
Oh, really?
So he probably back in those days, they would have thought that there's no way that the customs would actually go through women's privates,
right?
Private. So he thought.
So that might be a first in popular culture, because I know by the 70s we start to see in literature and in film a bit of Bigfoot erotica occurring, which is just out of control.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. In most of those films, I think we've got 14 that we're going to go through.
Okay. And we've got links
pretty much
to them all too.
If I've got a link, if there's the full movie on YouTube, I will put the link on there for you. If you want to go and watch it, you can. Some of them are not on there, but the ones that are, I will give you the link to the YouTube channel that they're on, and you can go and watch any of them that you want.
All right.
They're all pretty bad. Be warned.
Okay? So the Yeti, Abominable Snowman first. And of course, that's what cinema decided to exploit right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And in 1958, an incident in Humboldt County, California, with Jerry Crew there and his work team, his group of forest workers, oil drums were being moved that had massive
400 pounds.
Yeah, of weight behind them. They were finding, and there's
huge
been a
footprints.
lot of sort of debasing of that evidence and saying that Jerry created these. But I think Jerry was the pioneer of casting,
right?
When it came to the footprints,
like taking molds of the footprints.
Yeah. And I think that incident was where the journalist again came. And sort of that was his term. He was just a local journalist, but all of a sudden he became, I think it was Italian, he became this huge international sensation.
He would have,
because the world went insane.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had a cast and they put it on the front of the paper. So it was holding up this huge cast footprint of this Bigfoot. It was just named, they'd coined the term Bigfoot.
Yes.
And so, everybody's always desperate for a great story, and they're like, let's get down there. And they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, all right.
I think we might be ready to start.
This conundrum. Bear with us. It's going to be a lot of hilarity.
I'm sure there are films that allude to this, and of course King Kong with Willis O'Brien there, Mighty Joe Young, White Pongo, all those films spoke about a gorilla primarily.
Well, it was a giant ape.
Okay.
So it was a giant
So it might
ape.
have been Gigantopithecus, which some people to this day perceive that this is what we're observing.
They never said that it was a Gigantopithecus. It wasn't a throwback or anything. They were just saying it was a giant ape.
Okay.
Right? The difference between the Yeti, the Abominable Snowman, Sasquatch, Yowie, is that there were stories going back in lore, in all kinds of native peoples had these stories, these sightings, and then when Westerners got there, they started to see them as well. So, so of course, cinema.
Let's have a little look at now here's another beautiful anomaly when it comes to pop culture, and don't expect the truth, and especially not from the poster. But the poster is the lure. It's selling you the sizzle. And the posters are just magnificent in comparison to the majority of films we're going to look at.
Very rarely do the posters live up to especially in B and Z grade
Let's
cinema.
Pop the snow creature up.
Okay.
All right.
So the snow creature. Okay,
Let's have a little look at that.
Okay, this is
what we believe is the first film. Tell us about this film.
1954.
We've done some research.
Yes, I did do some research. So 1954, The Snow Creature. It was made by Lee Wilder. W. Lee Wilder. Now
my God, is that the relative of Billy Wilder?
Yes, he was the older brother of Billy Wilder, who did Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot, The 7-Year Itch, Sabrina, The Apartment. Right?
Well, he was very different to his Yeah, his younger brother, wasn't he? Because his younger brother is heralded as one of the great Hollywood directors.
Absolutely.
And you know.
Yeah, I know. So and also who else was in this? So the son. Now, what was his son's name? I've lost.
Again,
yeah,
it's sort of like one great director out of that family and two really bad ones.
Not Billy Wilder's son, but Lee Wilder's son ended up doing stuff on television.
He was McCall's Navy and all that stuff.
Yeah, he did lots of
a couple of hacks and one absolute prodigy.
Yeah, but Billy,
what can you ask
W. Lee Wilder, his other two films were Beast, what do you call it? Oh, where are they? Oh, Phantom from Space and Killers from Space.
Two absolutely deplorable B-grade science fiction
films. Lots of fun.
That are really worth having a look at. Some of them have some really interesting ufological tidbits so early in the piece. I think they're 54 and 53, both those films.
Yeah.
So this film is full of pathos and irony.
Yeah.
It is absolute tragedy from start to finish. In
now,
terms of the way it was shot, its budget, and its acting.
The Sherpas in this film, unfortunately.
Yeah, and no offense. They spoke Japanese.
So clearly they weren't Sherpas from the Himalaya region.
I told you they were being exploited from day one.
I know. And of course, there's always, in most of these films, 99% of the time, a female always gets kidnapped by one of these beasts, these, bipedal hominids,
right,
for nefarious reasons.
Well, there's a crossbreeding program.
There's always the sex angle, and we will get to that.
DNA samples.
Well,
there could be some truth to that.
Anyway, so
you know what? We didn't put Sir Edmond Hilary, so let's kick off with a little minute piece on Sir Edmond Hilary and some background.
Not the big one.
No, not the big one. Let's go to the little one. We can get to the big one later on.
So before we do the trailer for the snow creature,
yes,
from 1954.
There's a lot for us to remember here
there's
tonight.
So much.
But we're so excited to be with you and have you on Down South Anomalies. This is a big hurdle we've jumped over. We're on to episode 21.
22.
Oh, you sure?
Positive.
Oh my God.
There it is. We've been hanging to do this program for a long time.
You have.
Now. I have. I've been just loving to do wanting to do this. But anyway, here we go.
Thanks, Sonia.
Yes, well, that's one of our objectives. That's in the earlier part of the expedition. It's not one of the major objectives, but we regard it as an important one, and we're going to examine it fairly thoroughly. We'd like to try and find out exactly what's making those tracks, which undoubtedly have been found in the Himalayas.
What are you going to do if you find a snowman?
Well, we're taking with us what's called a capture gun, which is a gun which shoots a hypodermic syringe with a knockdown drug in it. And if we find a Yeti, we'll just, we hope to put it to sleep with one of these capture guns and examine it a little more thoroughly.
Will you try to bring it home with you?
Well, I think if I followed my own inclinations, I'd be much happier to just examine it and let it go back to its own natural habitat.
And see, that is brilliant.
Now, you know why he's happy to examine this thing in the wild and just let it go?
Yeah.
Because he's seen all those other films, King Kong and all of them. They bring it back home and it all goes to shit.
It does.
Seriously.
Well, you shouldn't say that.
Oh, sorry. It all goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, hell on a Ferris wheel.
It does. They always bring some creature back from the the wilds, and they're going to exhibit it to the world, and everybody goes there, and it always escapes and just runs amok, kills a bunch of people, and then it's just like, no, you should have left it where it was. So Edmund's onto it.
So the takeaway from that was 1960, for the first time ever, they had mounted a worldwide publicized expedition to actually search for the Yeti, not scale the heights of the mountains, even though they were during it. So that's quite fascinating in itself. But also, Look at that Aspasia. No
What's that?
bone saw. It's
No
just
bone saw.
hypodermic
Yeah,
needle.
yeah.
Take a little bit of
capture
venom
gun.
and just let it back out there. You know, he didn't want to bring it home.
Catch and release.
All right,
That's the way to go. Okay.
that's all right. Good luck
So
with
here we
this
go
one.
with Snow Creature from 1954.
Yes.
Now, this place gives me the creeps.
It's not the most cheerful place in the world. It's only an animal of some kind. Zubra! What is it?
Mountain goat. Let's go.
He's only stunned. He's not dead. No, you don't. Get over here. All right, with that. I'll give him a hypo to keep him quiet. Get a tarpaulin. We'll carry him in that. Go on.
We found that the female and child of the snow creature had been killed by the cave-in. We held Subra and Leva at gunpoint and ordered them to carry the creature back to the entrance of the cave to meet the rest of the Sherpas.
That's
Those
it.
poor old
Yeah.
Sherpas have to carry it out
Well,
of bed. Now, we should have informed people.
there
that
was a bit of a
tiny spoiler
well,
there.
That was the whole story.
There
wasn't
was
it,
a
really?
scene. It wasn't a trailer. We couldn't find a trailer
There
for
was
that
no trailer.
anywhere.
Sometimes there's no trailers.
Trailers
You just
are
gotta
lost.
Find whatever you've got. Anyway,
But, you know, an interesting scene. It's not a major spoiler because the story
There is-
goes on.
there is. You can see that whole film on YouTube, so I will put the link up
Okay.
for that.
All right.
You will have
okay.
it on
Isn't
your-
that
yeah.
amazing? That
It
that is Billy Wilder's older brother
Yeah,
and nowhere near. I
W.
think,
Lee Wilder,
I think one of our, I think it was it Ebert that actually said,
Roger Ebert.
what was his statement about, my God, his brother can't direct at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
It was
anyway.
a bit. Yeah,
All right.
discouraging.
Well, the
Okay.
Sherpas had actually been speaking about this parallel
Mhm.
hominid for a long time.
Yeah.
They said there were three varieties.
Mhm.
There was one that could reach at least 15 foot
Yeah.
and was dark
Yep.
in its fur, very black.
Mhm.
There was your classic, what looks like, paddy.
Yep.
So you're 8 to 9 foot.
Yep.
Brown
Brown
hair.
hair.
And then there was your
Oh, the
hobbit,
small ones.
your
Yeah, the hobbit
Indonesian
ones.
hobbit.
The
So the
Rang
3.5 foot.
Penang or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sounds like a
All right.
lovely dish, Miss.
it does.
Des.
Okay, so
Right.
now we go to Man Beast.
Yes, what a great poster. Look at that.
1956. That is a great poster. Looks nothing like it.
Okay, tell us about
It's
Man
Jerry Warren.
Beast. Who is Jerry Warren?
my
Is
God.
the king of
He
stock
is.
footage.
Oh.
When I say by stock footage,
Yep.
most of his films, he didn't shoot any of the footage at all. He just went
Yeah.
to the stock film
Yeah.
library.
Okay, so of course the man, this snow beast, the Yeti, was receiving so much publicity at the time in the paper. So he wrote a script around Mexican unfinished footage. He bought this, and so Rock Madison, who does not exist, just made up to.
That was the star of the
That
film.
was the star of the
no,
film.
that didn't exist at all.
But he
There
didn't
was-
exist. He just made up a few names and threw them in there to make it look like a more people on
So
there.
this is really independent Z-grade
Oh my God.
cinema,
When
like you wouldn't believe.
As soon as it comes on, you will see exactly what's going on. There's barely no set. It's just this disembodied head to start with. It's just hilarious. There is a link to this film as well. I will put this
And
up
I
if you want to have a look
suggest
at it.
if you find it entertaining, please look up the rest of Jerry's back
Oh
catalogue.
yeah, Jerry Warren's
This petrified
amazing.
world.
Oh yeah,
And the man is just profound. He can make a feature film
out
out
of
of nothing.
Yeah,
Absolutely
and
nothing.
it is the feature films are nothing, but they're hilariously.
All right, you're still
Anyway,
on Untitled
so
Radio with Down South Anomalies.
So let's find the trailer. Well, a kind of trailer. It's
Interesting.
Man
Right.
Beast,
Let's do it.
1956.
Good
Go.
luck.
Look out! Where, Hunt? Where? There!
The abominable snowmen. High in the desolate Himalayas, scientists have reported a species of half-man, half-beast. Articles on them have appeared in pageants, Popular Science, Proof, and Newsweek magazine. This story of the perils encountered by an expedition searching for these creatures brings to the screen one of the most exciting motion pictures ever made.
You're jumpy, Hud.
All day I've had the feeling someone was watching us, trailing us. Passions explode violently as a man fights for survival and a woman's love against the never-ending terror of primitive isolation, astounding dangers that stagger the imagination, breathtaking thrills and spectacular action against the towering peaks 21,000 feet above the earth. Excitement thunders from the screen as powerful elements burst forth in all their fury to destroy the men who dared to invade the icy stronghold of the abominable snowmen.
Okay, might have been what?
Based on Peter Burns' adventure, because that's around the altitude he was at, and believe me, he was up on a glacier. That really did look like a glacier.
Those people climbing the rocks and stuff, that was the Mexican footage. This was Jerry Warren's first
His directorial debut.
Yes. So
Jerry Warren
it was downhill from
lost
there,
to history, but quite astounding. Now, where we're going next?
There is a great box set, the Jerry Warren collection.
Oh, right, okay.
If you want to go and just put Jerry Warren collection, and you'll find all these movies if you want to buy them. They're fabulous. I highly recommend them.
All right, now let's go to a film that's got a little bit of production design happening for it.
Yes, it
The
did.
Abominable Snowman out of 1957. We've got a couple of posters there. Now, just down there, there it is.
Okay, got it. Okay, The Abominable.
Now, we dare you to see this alone.
Really?
And this is great because this was the beginning of like the gimmicks.
Yeah.
You know, William Castle's notion with the Tingler and things like that.
Yeah.
But this is so cheap that basically we dare you to see it alone, but we're not going to give you any medical support, and there will be no nurse in the foyer to assist if you collapse.
No.
But it does have our classic Peter Cushing.
Yes.
I think this is the beginning of the Hammer.
It is. It was a hammer.
Into something else. But before the horror, before the classic Poe stories, we have the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas.
Well, look, Forrest Tucker stars in this as well.
Yes.
From F Troop.
Yes.
He was hilarious in that. Peter Cushing, like we said, and it was directed by who directed it? Val Guest.
Right.
Val Guest, and this has got a paranormal edge. This one.
So this has a little bit of the woo factor creeping in as early as 1957.
It's got telepathy and mind speak in it.
Okay.
So that there's
exciting.
telepathy with the.
All right.
So
and you know what? By this stage,
1957 back then.
Even these low budget films, and this one's a cut above the rest, were beginning to travel all over the world.
Yeah, that was.
There's a beautiful European poster for it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Okay, so I reckon we should get ready to have a look at this one. 1957.
Now, there is no link on this one because this has been re-released. There's a Blu-ray.
All right, search for it.
There's a Blu-ray one of this. So, The Abominable Snow.
A small band of men on a perilous search for the man-beast of Tibet. The abominable snowman of the Himalayas. You've heard of him, haven't you? The world's most shocking monster. No one's ever lived who's seen him. Be on your guard. He's coming to this theater. The abominable snowman dares you. We dare you. Dare you to see the abominable snowman of the Himalayas.
What did it look like? Tell me, what did you see, Kusang? Tell me.
I see what men must not see.
They're after me. They know it was me that did it last night. They're after me. They're after all of us. They just killed McNee. Why say that? It was an accident. It's me next. They know it was me. Stay here. Wait. Ed, I can hear you. He's coming.
You've got to understand, that isn't Shelley. It isn't anybody.
I can hear his voice.
It's in your own mind. It's just happened to me, too.
Warning, only those with stout nerves and strong hearts should risk seeing the abominable snowman of the Himalayas.
Yeah, wow. That
So,
was
yeah,
something else.
That was something else.
And you
it's
know
a
what?
beautiful
you
copy.
can see it's a cut above the rest. Go
It is.
and get that
Yep.
Blu-ray,
For
people.
sure, for sure.
But the interesting thing there is to see the astounding, the much loved,
Peter
the
Cushing.
incredible Peter Cushing, and went on to become
Such a
such an
gentleman.
incredible horror actor. He was
Yeah.
an amazing artist. He actually was a sculptor and created hundreds of dioramas. A bit like Doug's The Bigfoot Museum.
Okay.
He's giving away the other day. You know, I knew all the answers
Who?
to that quiz.
Doug?
Doug Hajicek.
Oh, hi.
Remember the Bigfoot Museum?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You knew all the answers, but you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
go in the chat because
No, of course,
one of
you
the
shouldn't. You got to let.
personalities.
No,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, okay.
All right. No, next one. Let's go. It's Half Human, 1958. So this is a Japanese film, and what they did was
We're still morphing with the gorilla there, aren't we?
we are. And and there's the girl because they kidnapped the girl. They always kidnap the girl.
John
in these
Carradine,
things.
David Carradine's
It's like,
father.
why do you people take your wives with you on these expeditions? Like seriously,
All
and
right.
they always trip over every time.
And this is where the huge hole begins here, 1958, and then it's like the entire 60s. Well, we'll get to that, won't we?
So this was directed by Ishiro Honda, who gave us the Godzilla.
Right, okay.
Godzilla, all the Godzilla films.
Japanese
He's the very
legend.
famous Japanese director. He's the director. He's Japan's director, right? So this is a sci-fi horror. The film is based on the footprint photos of Eric Shipton's.
1953.
That's right.
There
So
you go.
that's
so
what it's based
heavily
on.
influenced by what was
Yeah.
happening in the media in real time.
Exactly. All right. So yeah, this one with the woman gets kidnapped and for guess what?
Oh, really?
They
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's no link on this Half Human one, so
So
you're
you're
going to
have to search for it,
you're gonna
or
have to
you're going
search
to have
for it
to
yourself.
push the National Archives in your country
Yeah,
to
release it.
re-digitize it. So
Absolutely.
let's go and check the trailer out here.
to Half
So
Human.
1957. The interesting thing is we're coming to a gap in films.
Yeah, it's
And
weird, isn't it?
It is really bizarre. But let's have a look
Okay.
at Half Human.
Here we go.
Half Human is the fantastic motion picture record of the search for the mountain creature of Asia, whose name has become a symbol of terror and mystery. The abominable snowman. This is the claw that reaches out to kill. And this is the footprint in the snow, so astounding that scientific laboratories throughout the world are rocked by its startling impact.
This is a mold taken from the footprint found outside the cabin door. By measuring the width, the length, and the depth of the print, their composite picture described the species as being 9 feet tall and weighing around 1,800 pounds.
What did Tanaka say?
Well, he was convinced in his mind that the hair follicle was closer to that of man than to that of any other animal known to exist.
Now you can follow the relentless pursuit of the half-human monster whose earth-rocking fury broke the torturing bonds of his civilized tormentors. Half-human, he learned the terrifying power of fire over the natives who worshipped him. Half-human, he set off an avalanche of destruction against the invaders of his mountain kingdom. He still felt the surging need for human love.
Yeah, well, that's
okay.
really, yep.
So what happened with that is the John Carradine and the American actors were cut in into the footage because it was a Japanese film,
Interlaced with that.
And so they interlaced it, and it was exposition. So they would, recant what was going on. They had the footprint, and they talked about it all, and then they showed the Japanese. That's how they bridged it and made it into an American film, so they could show it in America.
How astounding.
Yeah.
Well, now things get really strange because there is actually a lack of film productions. Now, maybe
that was 1958.
Maybe there's a huge gap in our research, and we want people to reach out to us.
Well, I'm telling you, I looked high and low.
But what had happened is in popular culture.
Yeah.
And if we can get up that article by Ivan Sanderson, this is 1959.
Yeah.
Already they were making the connection between Bigfoot and the Yeti.
Okay.
And this is a very famous article out of, Pulp magazine at the time by a very respected zoologist and author. Went on to do some great cryptid research. One of the pioneers, Ivan Sanderson. Now, as we can see here, America's abominable snowman, which is Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So this is 1959. So exploitation cinema, that where these stories had actually inspired, and they were drawing huge crowds because they hit the zeitgeist.
Those first four. One was what was it? One was American British. Two really low budget American ones, and the third one is a Japanese. The fourth one was a Japanese film.
So it was running around the world. So even in magazine culture, this thing was starting to kick off.
Absolutely.
And look at that beautiful cover for Sir magazine there in the late 50s. Then you sort of started to slip even in that entire sort of sexualizing Bigfoot.
Is that the amazing stories?
Yes. Amazing Bigfoot stories.
Wow.
Yeah. And look, the English had to sway in there with their Lions magazine, and they were still much. But the big piece of film footage, I guess, out of the 60s in 1966 was there it was the Paterson-Gimlin film.
All right, yeah.
And this is interesting because this magazine is doing the same thing that Life magazine did. It's sort of pushing you to think that we're looking at a series of stills and not an incredible piece of film footage from the time.
Yes.
So Life playing all their tricks out there. And so those tricks were paid with Paterson-Gimlin, I suspect. So that's 1966. And that film today still resonates as one of the primary pieces of evidence in the film. Now, Faith, but you know the most beautiful thing here? This cover is drawn by Robert Crumb.
Oh, really?
The Robert Crumb.
Okay,
so
wow. There you
how
go.
extraordinary is that?
Yeah.
And I guess, let's move into a universe that was sort of collapsing by the 70s and is now a multi-billion-dollar Leviathan.
Yes.
And that is Marvel
Comics,
universe.
Yeah.
And, of course, they had to step in there with the thing taking on Sasquatch.
Of course.
But maybe it was Creepy magazine that inspired our next film, which there is at least a decade gap.
Yeah.
And this stars one of the most extraordinarily underrated singers, trick golf players, and someone that Frank Sinatra said he ate breakfast off at one stage, Joy Lansing. No, I've jumped.
Where are you
one.
going?
I've gone to 1970s Bigfoot.
No.
It's Snow Devils.
Snow Devils. It's the Italians. So the Italians who are the
How
masters.
did I do that? Excuse me.
So the Italians are the masters, seriously,
of
grabbing American movies and twisting them and exploiting them. I mean, you know what they did with Jaws? Brilliant.
Extraordinary.
Absolutely.
So,
they actually took footage from Jaws, the film itself, and intercut it so they wouldn't have to.
So
do
this
it
film
themselves.
is by directed by Antonioni Margheriti.
Mm-hmm.
And Margheriti did 3 films before this. It was supposed to be a trilogy, of which one of the titles is actually taken to the documentary on me, Love and Anarchy, The Wild Wild World.
Yeah.
It's Wild Wild Planet.
Okay. So this is the Snow Devils.
This was the 4th film.
1967.
What was
Yeah.
supposed to be a trilogy of films became 4. And all of a sudden, the entire cast from those War of the Planet films were taken. And wasn't this an invasion of Earth by Bigfoot Yeti creatures
Yeti.
that were going to ice
their
the planet?
Yeah, they were going to ice the planet because their planet is dying.
Right.
And they need to come and conquer ours. And they are Yetis. They are Bigfoots.
Right.
Just have a listen to the trailer. So let's
Now, the production design is really beautiful in this, isn't it?
Yeah, so they're alien Yetis, and they're here to freeze the Earth as a replacement for their doomed home planet. And so it is directed by Antonio Margheriti. There is no link to this one, so
And there is
you're
no
going to have to
English
try and find
version
it.
of
And
the trailer.
it looks amazing, and it's color. This is kind of the first color one that we've come across in this
Genre
in
at this
genre.
stage. So
Yeah.
this is 1967, and
Yeah.
it's Italian.
Yeah, so I think I've got what have I got for this one? I think did I get a German?
You may have.
I think I might have got a German or an Italian, because the English dub one was just so bad, and you need to see the color and the props for this.
All
It's
right,
just
without
amazing.
any further ado, you
Here we
are
go.
on Told on
This is
Radio.
the
This is
Snow
Yeti,
Devils,
Bigfoot and Sasquatch. Go to the
1967.
movies.
No, non sono queste le orribili creature che hanno deciso di soggiogare la razza umana. Chi sono? Come agiscono? Dove si nascondono?
Questo è lo spettacolo che hanno visto i componenti della squadra quando sono entrati nella stazione. Gli uomini erano morti, assassinati, e con una terribile espressione sul volto.
Well, they're freezing
Rod
everything
Jackson,
so they
missione
can,
Himalaya.
They can live here. So I think the planet is starting to freeze. So it's just,
Altri uomini hanno deciso di affrontare il terribile mistero. Rod Jackson, missione Himalaya.
Here they are. They got a bit of air and they're warm because they're cold. See? Yeah.
Mediante un complesso di analisi abbiamo potuto individuare il luogo di origine di questa energia. È un'area ai confini tra la Cina e l'India, sull'Himalaya.
La leggenda ci parla di una strana razza che vive su quelle montagne. Una leggenda lontana nasconde una realtà di domani, un incubo di distruzione, un duello a morte.
Voi avete fatto questo, ma vi distruggerò, vi ucciderò tutti.
Rod Jackson, missione Himalaya. I mostri vengono dal cosmo. Sono inafferrabili come meteore.
Sistema in funzione. Gravità 8G.
Riduzione di gravità.
Sistema automatico. Programmato per neutralizzare 10G al distacco del primo stadio. Il radar segnala qualcosa.
Adesso
Rod Jackson, missione Himalaya. Una gigantesca catastrofe. Una spietata minaccia.
Io e la mia gente non discendiamo dalla scimmie perché non siamo del vostro pianeta.
You're very wrong. No.
Siete di un altro mondo.
Ecco il mio mondo. Il quinto pianeta del nostro Sole in un altro lontano sistema.
Rod Jackson, missione Himalaya. Dalle inviolabili vette dell'Himalaya agli abissi del cosmo, guerra spietata ai mostri delle tenebre.
No, it didn't. The Italians know how to twist these things beautifully. Anyway, It all goes horribly wrong as these things do.
Jackson, Missione Himalaya.
I don't know. But you know what?
They're getting it off with the locals late at night. What happened? We went from frozen planet to Bohemian Madness. The beatniks have got insane.
Because Italian music is always
profound.
awesome.
Ennio Morricone
Yeah,
and then
yeah. Anyway.
Nina Rota and just
Oh
so
my
many
God.
great people.
I'm going to track that film down because
we've
there's
gotta
no link
find
for it, and I'm going to have a look at it myself because that one I haven't seen.
All right, what are you doing jumping there?
Okay,
You
sorry.
jumped in way too early. Let's go to our Yeti toy.
Okay,
So we can just, you just got the
yeah.
Yeti erotica up and blew it.
Oh no,
The
there's
Yeti
no
toys
yeah,
there.
yeah, okay, Snow Devils. Okay, so then, this is I would kill for one of these seriously.
It grunts and walks and it raises
Oh, my
its arms and shrieks. What we thought we'd do is we're sticking primarily to cinema, but we're showing a little bit of the pop
the pop culture,
influence
it's all
the
part
time.
of it,
And I believe you can still, they're quite expensive, but you can still find these out there. But look at this, in reality, that Yeti is frozen to death.
But that box, is that a book or is that the box?
It's the box.
Oh my
It's
God,
the cover
box art is just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's
seriously,
really nice.
Look how beautiful that
and is that infrasound or just cold breath coming out of the Yeti there? Is that infrasound?
Could be.
All right. Now let's get into what we would classify as a completely psychotronic film in terms of Michael Weldon's referencing.
Yeah.
And this stars the one and only Joy Lansing.
It is.
Please go and check Joy Lansing out and punch in the word Scopitone.
Scopitone.
Because she was the singer on this beautiful French jukebox that played 16mm clips for a florin. And the silencer is unbelievable.
The silencer is great. And what's the other one?
Web of Love.
Web of Love.
How could you forget that? When Joy
I know.
dances in a cobweb.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That music clip is just
and use it to think positively of the memory of Joy, which she should be out in the ether somewhere because she died very shortly.
She died not long after making
from
the
shame.
film.
From shame.
No, she actually died of cancer.
She breast cancer. Now the story goes,
it was lung cancer.
Take the children. Well, it might have been too.
Yeah.
I used to think when I was really I used to say to my mother,
what?
That woman has really big lungs. When they had breasts. Anyway.
Oh, you just whacked me in the back of the
my
head.
Apologies.
Yeah, sure you are. Anyway. All right. So
if you've just tuned in, by the way, this is Yeti, Bigfoot.
You need to go back to the beginning.
To
it's hilarious.
It's Untold Radios down south, Anomalies here. And we're just a little bit taking you down this voyage of exploitation cinema and the parallel hominid.
Okay.
So
where
did the poster go for that? I love that poster.
I showed it. I'm going to the trailer now.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
all right.
My God. Hey, we haven't got long to go.
No, we haven't got long to go. Let's keep moving.
Otherwise, we're gonna run out of time.
Joy Lansing, it was said that Frank Sinatra take the children out of the room and actually eaten fried eggs one morning off her breasts. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can believe that. Anyway, here is Bigfoot. Now, the story with this it's just called Bigfoot, 1970. It stars John Carradine again. Now, John Mitchum,
which is Robert
Mitchum's brother,
right,
and Christopher Mitchum, which is who was that?
Is that the
Robert's son?
Yes,
Robert Mitchum's son.
Yeah.
Right, it stars in that.
God, your notes are all...
Lindsay Crosby, which is Bing Crosby's youngest son of four sons from his first marriage.
Probably means nothing to anyone that aren't as old as we are.
Well, you got Robert Mitchum's son and Robert Mitchum's brother in it. You got Bing Crosby's son in it. I don't know what was going on. You got John Carradine.
Out of control. Who was the casting agent?
It's all B and C grade actors and personalities.
All right,
you know what I mean?
Read us about this story because it's really odd.
Now, so it's the big sons. What is it? Oh yeah. So a girl gets kidnapped by Bigfoot's son for Bigfoot, the dad, and the dad's huge apparently. Right. And so this bad guy wants to catch and exhibit Bigfoot as they're in a freak show, and of course it all goes horribly wrong as these things do.
Now it was Robert F. Slattery was the director. Slater.
Yeah, Slater.
Yeah.
And there is a link on YouTube to this. I'll put the link up so you can go and have a look at it.
Right.
And they shame on them, but they actually use a line from King Kong
Really,
in this film.
Stealing your script.
It was Beauty that killed the beast.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll show you the trailer for this quickly, and you can go and look at it, and you need to actually look at it. It's just an atrocity, but a fabulous one. Yeah, a beautiful atrocity. Yeah. Here we go.
Hello, Sheriff. It's something terrible's happened.
Another one of them preacher stories, only this one tops them all. It took off with this girl, he thinks.
What do these creatures want? The only thing I can figure out is that they're a dying race, and they want to reproduce more of their own kind.
Catch one of these critters, we can live high on the hog for the rest of our lives.
But all I want to do is get my girl back.
I got guns and lights out in the car.
Now stop!
They're practically subhuman. Except they still look like animals. How horrible.
That's my kid up there!
I think the greatest thing about that is just the color by deluxe, really.
I love that title, but the rest of the film, it's a really amazing film. I've seen it quite a few times, and I enjoy it every time. It's one of my go-to Bigfoot films. Anyway,
all right. So what we should have a look at is this period. Let's go back to our stills.
Yeah.
This period actually spawned, something out there lurking deep in the heart of men that shouldn't have been interested in pop culture. And that was, I guess, just popped to there.
Yeah.
That was the Bigfoot
Nights
erotica.
with Sasquatch.
The explosive
So is that a novel?
Of rape, yes,
Okay.
and revenge beyond any woman's experience.
Wow. There you go. Well, of course they're going to go there, aren't they?
I mean, we laugh at this, but we know of cases out of Katoomba up here where it's been articulated that similar things have occurred in dream states.
There's been telepathic
So as much as you laugh, be cautious when it comes to...
Absolutely.
So what can you tell us about this next film from
this is a 1971.
And we warn you, you can actually see quite explicit scenes from this.
Oh, there is a really explicit scene on YouTube.
Take the children out of the room.
No. I haven't put anything like that on here. But if you're watching it on YouTube, it's like, what the hell is it?
This is really bad. Not even softcore. It's like hardcore. Yeah. Why would you include this?
I don't know how hardcore. I think it's not softcore. I think it's soft on. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's nothing erotic about this film. It's a shocker. Right. But anything, it's like one of the women that is being credited with having with having starred in it is Lynn Holmes. Would that be any relation to John Holmes? Would that be his sister?
All right.
So I don't know. There's three couples. The story is there's three couples.
Yeah.
They go into nature to find Sasquatch. He finds them.
Right.
He ends up having sex with a woman.
All right.
Okay.
Are we going to actually look
There's no name. There's no director. Director did not put his name on this. There's only three names, but there's 6 people in there.
But you know what happens in Hollywood?
And there's no link, but there is a very short piece where he starts having doggy style, well, how can I explain it on YouTube? I was actually shocked that it was still on YouTube, and I was shocked and not a little bit surprised. Anyway,
you've done that still often. Let's go to the trailer.
So
people are desperate out there; they're panting.
This is one of the worst Bigfoot costumes I've ever seen. If you see his pants are just a little bit too short.
Oh, right.
Thank God he wasn't wearing white socks under there.
You've lost my complete train of thought here. You used to talk about people talk about us talking over guests. We're talking over each other. All right, let's go to the gig. 1971. Might as well talk
a Brutus production. I believe it. Okay.
Yeah.
This has got the weirdest
It's
intro. You think it's like a nature film, but it descends into Sodom and Gomorrah very quickly.
But it has that sense of melancholy and melodrama
absolutely.
and out of focusing.
Well, it's like somebody focus. Where's the focus?
What sort of scene is this? What is this about?
I don't know. I have no clue. We're just ambling through nature very slowly.
Are we looking at a structure or
no? We're not
a
looking
nest?
at anything. Okay, so this is, the Geek filmed on location in Oregon, Washington, Alberta, and Canada. I think it was filmed in one location.
Yeah. Someone's backyard in Florida or something.
Yeah. Anyway.
This is the trailer. I mean, how do you explain
Hang on. The forward.
In the wild, untamed regions of northwest part of our continent, strange stories have been unfolding for 200 years. There is a legend of a mammoth being, part animal, part human. Its grotesque form has on occasion been seen by some. Others scoff its existence, yet all respect to it. Sasquatch, we call it.
The geek.
Ladies and
Here we go.
What you are about to witness here at this theater in the next hour will undoubtedly become indelible in your memory forever. You are about to see one of the strangest phenomenons of our century. It is a legend come true. It is the legend of the mysterious and elusive animalistic type of creature known as the Sasquatch. Part man, but mostly beast.
Looks like part Volkswagen there. Look at this scene.
I don't know what's going on here. What's the story? What's with the boyfriend carrying him back there?
Vacuum the carpet. Can you please vacuum the carpet?
Look at his pants. Like one leg.
That is
short.
not a great Sasquatch outfit.
Oh, it's a shocker. One leg's shorter than the other.
Gee whiz.
I know. And it's like, why would you let that guy sniff you for starters? And grope your ass? Like, seriously. What?
We're going to be thrown off Untold Radio.
No, we're not.
Are you
okay,
sure?
So if you go on YouTube, you'll get the rest of this.
And don't
You will get the rest of it. But I don't know because you know what? One scene cannot be unseen.
Yes.
So I'm warning you.
Yeah.
And there's no link to YouTube
and don't
on
shoot
this one.
The messenger.
And even if there was a link, I probably wouldn't put it up. Anyway, sorry. I just love that film, The Geek. You're never going to forget it.
No.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
let's
number
get
8.
Get to,
now we're
is
getting
it number 8? Yes.
Yep, getting number 8.
Well, we're getting to the film that still resonates so strongly.
The Legend of
which
Boggy
is
Creek.
Up there within search of, really, isn't it?
It is.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
I don't know.
Search of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
where are we going?
The Legend of Boggy Creek, and this was basically a docudrama.
Is that it there?
It was acted out. There's that beautiful poster.
Yeah.
People had no idea that from $150,000 low budget exploitation film.
Yeah.
Give it to us, Ms. Jess.
All right.
It's
So
an incredible story.
Legend of Boggy Creek, 1972. So was this the Sun one? No, that was the other one. Okay. Documentary style drama which questions the existence of Sasquatch style monster in an Arkansas swamp from Fouk. Is it Fouk? F-O-U-K.
Fork, I think.
Fork. Okay. Charles B. Pierce was the director, and he's believed to be the source of one of the most famous lines from the 1983 film Sudden Impact, Go Ahead, Make My Day.
Yeah, he was the source.
Because he ended up working with
Clint Eastwood
on that film in 1985. But this film he made in 1982.
I think
and apparently
was this his debut?
I think it was one of his first films. Now, it cost $165,000.
I thought I said that.
Did you? Sorry,
I
I didn't
said
hear you.
150. Yeah.
Oh, it's $165,000, and it earned over $20 million. $20 million.
20 million, not 2.
Not 2.
There's I think within its first 7 days.
Yeah, can you believe?
And it is still going through the roof today.
It is. Yeah.
And it is certainly up there with the house that dreaded, the town that dreaded sunset.
That's right. So from this film, because he earned so much money, and the camera he filmed it on was put together 16 millimeter camera that he put together himself.
Right.
Yeah. And he
himself.
made several films, including The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Oh, he actually made that film.
Yeah, and Boggy Creek 2 in 1985.
Oh, yeah.
He made quite a few films from all the money that he earned. So
now lots of investigators, field researchers, people that have got fascinated. This is one of the films that kicked them there. If it wasn't In Search Of, it was definitely this movie.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we won't go into our conundrum. We're trying to track down a 16mm print of that.
Well, we had a 16mm print.
And we did put an entire audience to sleep with it once.
With this film. We went out on a boat cruise in the day, had a big lunch because it was this thing that we were saying thank you to all these people. And then when we finished, at the end of the day, we couldn't leave things alone. We always have to overload everybody.
Yep.
And we thought, we'll have a cruise, we'll feed them. And then when we get back, we're going to show them a film. Well, everybody was just passed out on their chairs by the end of it. Or actually halfway through it.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Yeah. Do you need to go up and take that down first, don't we?
I can do that.
Sorry about that.
I can do that. That's okay.
But I've got a photo somewhere. I should have pulled it out of like 80 people sleeping during the screening.
I know.
Of,
it's
The Legend
hilarious.
of Boggy Creek.
Anyway,
so,
all right. So 1972, The Legend of Boggy Creek. Let's go with
this changed the world.
Here in this primitive river bottom wilderness in southern Arkansas, along with deer, duck, crane, and beaver, lurks a creature that walks upright. Whether it is a man, a monster, or a myth, no one really knows. What we do know is the people around Fouke, Arkansas say they have seen such a creature nearly 250 times since 1954. And that this creature, whatever it is, emits one of the most terrifying sounds ever recorded. Creek, rated G.
People love that film, but I believe the greatest aspect to that film is the trailer. The trailer, again, as deceptive as the artwork.
Stop banging me in the head.
The trailer is deceptive as the artwork, but it actually puts out an incredible mood. But we did actually set an entire cinematic audience to sleep with a 16mm print of that. Quite astounding. Now, if you're wondering where you are, of course you're on Untold Radio, and this is Down South Anomalies with Aspasia and Jamie. I'm doing it like a radio program today because if people tune into this halfway through, they're going to get the shock of their life going, what have I stumbled onto? Is this another channel? This is Yeti, Bigfoot and Sasquatch.
Go to the movies. Yeah.
And so where are we up to
we're
now?
only going to 1977, aren't we?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, because
we are not covering everything by any means.
We can't.
But we're Down South Anomalies. You're going, what are you doing? Most of this material is either Japanese, British, Canadian,
it's a worldwide
or American.
Phenomena.
But you know what? There's Australian links. New Zealand for Sir Edmond Hilary.
Yep.
And what about this? Andre the Giant
appeared
in the $6 Million Man.
So
and you could go and buy yourself a bionic Bigfoot.
The $6 Million Man had 2 episodes of Bigfoot. on there, and they even made a toy out of it. So
now, Andre was a wrestler that gained a lot of fame in Australia and worldwide.
He became huge here.
And we heard stories of him here in between matches on our local broadcast at TCN9. They were getting 24 cans, a slab.
A slab is 24 cans.
24 beers, and then going back into the ring.
Pounding people.
Let's see how they modernise that toy a little bit. And I believe it's worth quite a bit of money now.
Is that the same one? Or just
it's the same one, but again, it's in newer packaging.
Oh, they just repackaged later on. Okay.
So let's have a look at something that
I would kill for.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot game,
the Milton
board game.
Bradley board game.
Man.
What a beautiful
So if you're a girl, do you get kidnapped by the Bigfoot?
I'm not sure. I haven't played it in a long time. I don't think I ever played it. Look at the Bigfoot up in the corner there. It comes with your own Bigfoot. All right, let's get to Shriek of the Mutilated. What can you tell us about this astounding film?
Shriek of the Mutilated.
I love
it. Another bad film, 1974.
A frenzied hunt for a hideous beast.
Okay, so there is
evil, cannibal cult, and death is the devil's blessing.
Great poster. Doesn't live up to the movie.
Funny that.
Okay, a group of college students are led by their professor to the mountains in search of the Yeti. Students are killed off one by one. Now, the director, Michael Finlay,
he had a little accident.
He made films from 1969 to 1977. This was 1974.
15 films in total.
Yep, 15 films. And the reason he stopped making films in 1977 was he was actually going to France to show a new 3D process.
That's right. He was a great inventor, inventor like Doug.
Yes, and he had this new process, and he was going to fly to France and show them this new 3D process. Unfortunately, he was getting onto a helicopter to be flown to the airport. The helicopter crashed, fell down. One of the blades snapped and decapitated him.
Oh, right. Like this Dawn of the Dead.
That's pretty hardcore way to go.
Yeah.
Another woman, three people were hurt, the other three people that were there, and one woman that was in the street, she got hit as well by one of the blades that snapped off. And so Shriek of the Mutilated, I don't know if there was karma coming back to get him for making this film. I'm not sure, but he seemed like a pretty interesting guy, but that was the end of that.
So very short career, but 15 films is not too bad.
That is not bad.
Do we need to take that down first before we go into yes, I think we do.
Yeah, I'll take it down.
But not too bad. But again, here we go into the 70s with the subversion of the Yeti into the Bigfoot
Now there is a link to
keep going down.
To Shriek of the Mutilated.
Oh, right, okay, great.
So I will put that link up as well if you want to go and have a look.
All right, 1974, ladies and gentlemen, we are racing through this.
You've got a Yeti in your woods. And with the help of my young friends here, we're going to find it and prove to the world that this fabled beast does really exist.
Its roar is unlike any animal I've ever known. It's more raucous than a moose. Sometimes it almost sounds like something human.
I'm really looking forward to this weekend.
If that beast is as hungry as I think he is, he'll hit the trap, and he'll hit it tonight.
The trouble is that people believe that garbage of his can get themselves in trouble. You know that guy St. Clair? According to him, 3 guys got killed.
I heard those stories too. The guy drinks.
I hope I didn't startle you.
Let's go. I don't like this place. I don't like these people.
Came here for a purpose, and there's no turning back now.
Karen, we'll be safe if we all keep our heads.
He stopped. His tail should stop.
Oh my God, I must be going crazy!
vinegar syndrome
Yeah,
is so
they
appropriate.
are re-releasing.
They are brilliant. So
they are brilliant.
go
They're
and
finding
support
these
them.
really low-budget films and doing the most amazing
restoration
and re-release, which is fabulous.
Redigitization.
Yep.
And some people would say you shouldn't go near them at all. But the Shriek of the Mutilated's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. And I think Michael Finlay, it
sort of adds to it. It elevates it slightly. Would you say?
Yeah, a bit. Okay, here we go. Number 10.
All right, we're going to Spain here.
We are going to Spain, 1975.
Yeah.
So this is Paul Naschy. Paul Naschy was the werewolf guy. He made so many films. All of them werewolf films. I don't know.
Got one of them here on 16.
We do. It's gone a little bit pink, but we do have a Paul Naschy werewolf film. But this was Werewolf and the Yeti.
Wow.
So he jumped on the Yeti bandwagon in 1975 because he knew he could get, bums on seats. Because, I mean, how many times can you do werewolf films, the same actor, over and over again? So he needed to introduce something new into it.
Yeah.
And it was the werewolf meets the Yeti. So it's an adventurer is captured in the Himalayas again while searching for the Yeti, and he's captured by two cannibalistic nymphets.
Really?
Yeah, who are guarding a Buddhist temple. Now, would the Buddhists actually put two cannibalistic nymphets in charge of their...
I guess out of everyone, of course they would.
Anyway,
they're the ones with the most heart.
So they kidnap Paul Naschy, who becomes, and they make him their sex slave.
Really?
Right?
Mm.
And they transform him into a werewolf and let him roam the Himalayas, where he comes across the Yeti.
It sounds very confusing to me.
Well, no, not confusing at all. I can follow that for sure.
The full red moon will soon shine in the sky. The demons will come out of their hiding places, and their howls will be heard in the night, announcing death. My men are afraid and do not wish to go.
What mysteries lie hidden in legendary Tibet? What horrible demons terrorize men who don't think twice about risking their lives? Frightened men pray to their gods with their ritual dances against the evil spirits. The werewolf and the Yeti. Karakoram is a land of ferocious and brutal men whose law is violence and crime.
Listen, I don't see the bodies of Melody and the professor. Where are they? Palace Sucker Khan.
Shut up! Death is the kindest end to those prisoners in the dungeons of the palace of the Sakar Khan, where a beautiful and evil woman submits her victims to the most diabolical tortures.
We saw the body of the messenger. And he wasn't killed by a wolf. It was you.
In The Werewolf and the Yeti, there is terror, eroticism, and adventure, bringing together the audience and the actors in a nightmarish atmosphere. The Werewolf and the Yeti. The Yeti, the mythical being of the mountains of Tibet, meets the werewolf in a bestial and diabolical battle.
No!
Paul Naschy in his most recent creation of The Werewolf, with Grace Mills, Sylvia Solar, and a great supporting cast.
Only I know of a remedy for your illness. A remedy? What is it? There exists a magic plant with red flowers on it. When its petals are mixed with the blood of a young girl, they can cure those like you who have been contaminated by the demons of Karakoram.
Love. Action. Terror. In The Werewolf and the Yeti.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
unfortunately there's no link for that one. You're going to have to go and find it yourself.
You have
but
to really
it's
search for it.
amazing.
And
Absolutely.
you know, the poster art to that stuff is
It's just brilliant.
scrumptious.
Yeah, it
now,
is.
we are going for the first and only time in this little potted history post-war.
I mean, we went, pretty much into all the feature films, but we had to put this one documentary in there.
Because this documentary probably did as much in terms of the mass mainstream mind think as The Legend of Boggy Creek. And this comes from the incredible Sun Classic Pictures. Now, Sun Classic has got some very questionable and fascinating theological and religious money behind it.
Yes.
We intend to do an entire program on Sun Classics because Sun Classics caught the flame of Chariots of the Gods in the early 70s and decided to exploit everything. Now, the director here, Robert, how do I pronounce his name?
Gennady?
Gennady. Robert Gennady.
Yeah.
Now, he was very interesting because what he did more than anyone else, he brought the documentary style into feature filmmaking. Even
No,
when
the
it was
newsreel.
The newsreel
the
style.
newsreel style into documentary series. So
Okay.
He is a film producer, director, screenwriter. He was the recipient of the Directors Guild of America Award.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
And he produced, like, he did lots of documentaries, and some of the documentaries, and this is show you at the time, he produced The Crucifixion of Jesus, 1972, Monsters, Mysteries or Myths, 1974, The Unexplained, The UFO Connection,
Which we have on 16.
That's right. Making of Star Wars in 1977. Roots 1 year later in 1978, because Roots was in 1977. He made, what else was it? There was just so many really not mainstream. It was like, mainstream films, and he did the documentaries behind all that stuff.
Oh, right.
You know?
But he also did these major documentaries for Sun Classic Pictures that became runaway successes worldwide. A lot of them became drive-in fodder. But
So what happened here?
Hold on. But they also, even though they were drive-in fodder, they did things like, you know, the search for Noah's Ark. So they would mount an expedition and a film crew to go into remote areas and search for these.
They went to Mount Ararat for Noah's Ark. Yeah.
All right. Now, something's happened here. If you have this set of lobby cards, I suggest they might be worth a lot of money.
It's a misprint.
Because what they've done is they've misprinted the title, The Mysterious Monsters, turned a plural into a singular, and now you have what looks like Peter Graves himself.
Because Peter Graves was the narrator.
Yes, and he was one of our first major actors in the TV series Mission Impossible. And so here it's made it look like he is the mysterious monster himself.
But he's not.
He's not. And I did a search just thinking maybe there's a film he made at exactly the same time. There's not.
No.
This is a real bugger up in the printing
It
here.
is. It is.
All right,
It is.
let's go to a trailer for
the-
this one and only documentary. And please understand, we know there's some really incredible documentaries in the 70s done independently by researchers that are profound. But we are dealing primarily with what affected cinema in the mass mind think of this post-war period into the late 70s. And without any further ado, Mysterious Monsters with Peter Graves at the helm.
There are monsters everywhere. In Loch Ness, a 24-mile-long bottomless lake in the Highlands of Scotland, it's a creature known as the Loch Ness Monster. In the Himalayas, a towering mountain range on the Asian frontier, it's the monster known as the abominable snowman. And in the forests of America, a beautiful wilderness stretching for thousands of square miles, it's called Bigfoot. Now comes a motion picture that shows you actual footage of these and other monsters. You'll journey to Loch Ness and watch what happened when John Cobb, British speed champion, attempted to set a new record on water in 1955. Ignoring warnings about a monster living in the lake, Cobb takes his boat onto Loch Ness. Cobb was killed. His boat disintegrated. Next, you'll join a 1951 expedition to climb Mount Everest. After months of preparation, Eric Shipton led his band of experienced, cool-headed explorers up the treacherous mountain. Higher and higher they climbed. Then, standing at the 19,000-foot level, where no man had ever been before, they saw an incredible sight. Footprints. Giant, man-like tracks stretching out across the snow as far as the eye could see. The footprints of the abominable snowman. And closer to home, in Marietta, Washington, you will experience the terror of Bigfoot. It all began on the night of June 6th. Rita Graham was sitting on her couch watching TV. Suddenly, a giant, hairy hand crashed through the window and groped about. The monster was next seen by Tom Stern, and 3 days later in a Boy Scout camp. In all, the small town experienced 12 encounters within 30 days. Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, the Loch Ness monster. Just 3 of the monsters you'll see in The Mysterious Monsters. A shocking look into man's encounters with the unknown. The Mysterious Monsters.
A shocking look into man's encounters with the unknown there, Mr.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we are going to something that's a lot of fun now.
This is a lot. Well, it's all a lot of
But
fun,
it's
isn't
really crazy. And we own a 16mm print of this yet again.
Curse of Bigfoot.
Both reels. This is the entire unedited feature.
Yeah. Curse of Bigfoot. All right.
All right. And how in the hell we've got this, I've got no idea, because how many do you think they could afford to cut?
It's probably the only print left, I'd
So what
say.
had happened here, let's have that poster up. I'll tell you, it's not really a poster, it's
Filmed in
someone's
bloody
modern.
colour. Yeah.
Anyway, what had happened with this film is, it was started shooting in 1958.
It was shot in 1958.
Yeah.
Right.
Now tell us about
And
it.
then, so it was an expanded, then it was an expanded by the same director and writer, which was only released in their hometown and later titled Teenagers Battle the Thing, right? For a video release in the 90s. So then 2 teenagers, so 2 of the people reappear, right, in from the original as adults. So 15 years later, and you'll see him in the trailer where he's talking to a classroom of students recanting the story. And so he
7
recants,
years between drinks.
7, yeah, absolutely. So he's recanting the story, and while he's, so then they go back to the original 1958 footage. Right. And it's called, so that you see it in flashback. Now the original focused on the resurrection. So the film focuses on the resurrection of a prehistoric monster and had nothing to do with Bigfoot.
It's called The Curse of Bigfoot.
But it's called The Curse of Bigfoot, and it was renamed that because they knew that they could exploit the Bigfoot name and get bums on seats.
Now, I believe Dave Flocker.
Dave Flocker, who made this film, only made this film.
It's the only film he ever
So
made.
he's been
in his
credited
life.
with 2 films, which is the that
The
one,
58
the 58. Well, the 58 thing, which is the teenagers battle the thing, and then the Curse of Bigfoot. But it's the same film, just with
and he's
just
been credited
added.
with 2 of those.
Yeah.
Are you
But
kidding
it's
me?
the one film.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway,
All right. So let's get rid of that slide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's get rid of that slide because
Yeah.
it's not even. I
Hey,
mean,
let's hope
if you
you've
see the thing, it's just it doesn't look anything like a Bigfoot. But anyway,
And this is another classic piece of what Michael Weldon would call psychotronic.
Psychotronic. This was the only film that this guy made.
Your teacher has been very kind in introducing me as a scholar. I'm thought by many people to be nothing more than a madman.
That's right.
This whole classroom.
15 years ago, in a high school much like this one.
Was probably the same one. So that was in Ben, you see.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
This is a match.
I was teaching science to a group of students not unlike yourselves.
What would take it for someone to want to go back to this 10 years later?
So
just to make another
I arranged a field trip.
Oh, you've got to be careful with that.
Absolutely.
As a result of that
Yeah, we're waiting.
Yeah.
field trip,
As a result.
Yeah.
3 of those students
A toast.
will spend the rest of their lives
Doing what?
They're in a mental
mental
institution.
in a mental institution, in a mental
I've seen
institution,
this film
in
a
a
few
mental
times.
institution.
I don't know why.
Well, like, you tangle with that parallel hominid.
Well,
and
that's
it
right.
looks
That's what's
like
going to
that.
happen. But it's not even a parallel hominid. There's
No.
nothing. There's no relation to a Bigfoot, but they just used it.
And you know what?
as-
Every
yeah.
time we screen that to an audience, they don't go to sleep.
No.
They actually ask for medical advice directly after it.
Trauma.
All right.
Anyway,
so
I love it.
Curse
I
of
love
the
it. It's
Bigfoot.
so good.
Dave
Anyway.
Fokker, the only film you ever made. What a triumph. And
Yeah.
yet, but how do you convince an actor and go, hey, remember that thing we
Well,
shot?
he's the direct. He's the Flocker guy.
Yeah,
But
they
the
had
other
other
guy.
cast members. back
Obvious,
in the-
no, just one. It must
Just
have been
one.
his best friend. So it's only 2 of them that come
Okay.
back. You
Well,
see,
you can do that with friends, can't you?
You can.
All right.
Only a really good
Let's
friend.
go to a really absurd,
Okay.
slightly
Well, this
erotic
is-
at times.
Well, you know,
the
this
Mighty
is-
P. Kingman we should have gone to
Now,
because that has
yeah.
a heavy erotica, but you
Yeah.
decided against that, didn't you?
I
Because
did.
it was more
I did.
ape.
Yeah, it was more apey sort of. Yeah.
But if you haven't
yeah.
seen Mighty P. Kingman, go and look for the trailer at least. That comes straight
But
out
this-
of Toho.
This has got everything for me. This film.
I've got the
everything.
soundtrack on vinyl.
The soundtrack's brilliant. The Italians know how to make soundtracks. I'm telling you now.
All right.
Okay, so this
Tell us
this
about
is
this.
Yeti, giant of the 20th century.
All right.
Okay, 1977.
Wow.
Give me the
Now that's
That's
let's get the original Italian look.
The
at
Italian
this
poster's
happening.
just all-
yeah,
that's-
because it says it
okay.
all. And he's got the most beautiful iridescent blue eyes.
He does. And so this guy, what was it? So the actor, director, writer, Gianfranco Parolini. Okay. So this Yeti is found frozen in a block of ice and brought back to the city. And of course, it all goes horribly wrong.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now he ends up being enamored by this rich industrialist's granddaughter.
She's too young too.
Well,
It's
she's
like
his
David Hamilton
granddaughter.
film.
Yeah, it's his granddaughter.
It's Suspect.
And his grandson, which is even younger. And the grandson was so traumatized by the death of his parents that he hasn't spoken ever since then. And but of course he does
But
find his voice in
Yeti
it.
brings him back.
Yeah, he does. Now,
There's so much
I
love
can
in
tell you right
Yeti.
now that all they had for this was a pair of legs from the waist down and an arm.
Right. It's like an Owen
Prop
Allen
wise.
thing.
Prop
Land of
wise.
the
That's
Giant.
all they had
Right.
of this guy, right?
Right, okay.
Now, Mimo Cryo played Thaddeus in Jesus of Nazareth. You know that really famous Jesus
Right,
with
right.
what was his name? The pal guy. What was his
Oh,
name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is an Italian Canadian co-production.
Yeah.
There is a link on YouTube.
And there
You
is-
need to see this. You
and
need to see
there
this
is
film.
A vinyl album out there.
There is. You probably won't be able
attached
to
to
buy
this
that, but anyway.
But if you want to,
Yeah.
well, we can negotiate.
No, we're not
You're
selling
never,
that.
you're
We're
never
not
letting
selling
that go.
No.
There are some very erotic scenes in this film.
Now this one scene is not in, but it's this puckering nipple.
Okay,
The
that's
Yeti's
enough. That's enough.
It's what the hell was going on there? I'll never know, but I'll go there. This is the German version, the German-speaking version of the trailer, because I couldn't find an English one, and this is the best trailer. So just bear with it, and I'll do some commentary on.
Yeti, der Schneemensch kommt. Der Gigant des 20. Jahrhunderts. Ein Riese, der die Welt in Angst und Schrecken versetzt.
It's they're putting him like a phone ring, like a phone booth ring. And of course he falls out on the way. When he gets there, now he's got to the top of the building. That's the elevator. The young girl is in there.
Ein berühmter Fotograf entdeckte riesige Fußspuren in der Arktis. Von Yeti, dem Schneemenschen. Wie durch ein Wunder war dieses Ungeheuer während Tausenden von Jahren in ewigem Eis konserviert. Was die Wissenschaft bis heute nicht schaffte, gelang der Natur. Yeti wurde wieder zum Leben erweckt. Eine Stadt, ein ganzes Land in Panik. Yeti, der Schneemensch kommt.
Want to find where Yeti is. Hang on. Now this is death by athlete's foot, right? Then he goes, no. No. She goes, don't do it. Don't. Toe jam. Death by toe jam. That was one of my favourite death scenes ever.
Ein Film, der Ihnen das Blut in den Adern gerinnen lässt.
I just love this film so much. And there's a link. You need to see it.
Yeti, der Schneemensch kommt. Ein Film, den Sie nicht versäumen dürfen. Demnächst in diesem Theater.
No, you won't.
Come actually the truth. Hey. I love that scene of shot on the set there. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. Okay, so that was Yeti, giant of the 20th century.
Yeah.
So
great poster art when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. So now where are we going? Oh, right, yes.
So where we're going now is to actually the beautiful original writer on Leslie Stevens' Outer Limits.
Yes.
The first season and is Joseph Stefano.
Yeah.
And there's one of his creations from can you remember the name of that episode?
Oh my God. No.
And that's that profound
terrible.
Episode where they actually turn a scientist into an alien.
Yeah.
And they want him to land in the middle of the UN.
To unite everybody.
To unite
together.
the world.
Yeah.
So if it's like Reagan's
Architects
speech.
of fear.
Architects of fear. It's like Reagan's speech to the UN if we had a threat from outer space. It's like the UAP program at the moment.
So why are we showing this?
Okay, we're showing this because our very
connection?
last film,
That's
bless
right.
you, excuse you,
Again, 1977.
is It's a long way down from Outer Limits to Snow Beast, the TV movie.
It's a TV movie.
Yeah, and so Joseph Stefano was the writer on this.
He was. And shame on you, Joseph.
It's
what
half
were
human,
you thinking?
half animal.
Oh, my God.
It's a cold-blooded killer.
God. Anyway, so Joseph Stefano's Snow Beast. Herb Wallenstein, he was the guy who directed this. He was mainly a second unit director or an assistant director.
Before that.
And
this was a TV movie,
what he did. Yeah, that was one of his TV movies. Okay.
Right.
So he did lots of TV movies and lots of television stuff. So this is what he did. So it's about a Colorado ski resort. It's being is besieged by a subhuman beast that what's to do?
It sort of mimics
brutal. I can't even read my own writing.
Anyway, it jumps on people whilst they're skiing.
It murders skiers on the slopes while they're skiing in a resort.
Could that have happened to Sonny Bono? And do you think not the cocaine in the tree?
No.
It was basically he was murdered. Now, one of our major actresses from The Time Machine is
Yvette
in this
Mimo,
film.
who played.
Her career must have
she
really
played
bellied up too.
the main Eloy on the original Time Machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look,
Robert,
I wouldn't. I haven't seen this film, so
I have.
It's bad. Is it? Well, I really can't believe that of Stefano's writing. It must have been the adaptation.
Well, the writing was probably good, but the I don't know. If you haven't got a good director, then it can all go to hell, can't it? There is a YouTube link for that one too. Have a look at all of them. They're all fun.
Oh, they
seriously.
are all fun.
Yeah.
So let's go to our very last trailer in tonight's incredible program that you've actually put together here beautifully. Yeti, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch
go to the movies. Yep.
Down South Anomalies. We're part of an astounding team. Let's
We
have a
are.
look at this. We love our team and we love those other podcasts. I'm really enjoying Jim Meyer's Sasquatch Outpost. Beautiful people on there, and Jim just looks so great in that cowboy hat.
He does.
That's not sure?
No, that's Yvette Mimo.
All right, okay.
Yeah. So this is 1977 now. You know, the Time Machine was made in the early 60s, so she's aged a little bit. Oh, she looks fabulous.
Right.
No, she was in that Circle of Fear 1980 film that we looked at not that long ago. Yeah, about that cult, you know. So this is Snow Beast.
Now, Leslie Stevens that did Outer Limits.
Yeah.
Basically put it together and brought Stefano in as the writer. And Stefano was really disappointed with the way it was going and left it after the first season. Some of those episodes of Former Things Unknown is absolutely one of the most majestically astounding pieces of television ever made.
Wow. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, a bit of, I mean, talk about throwing the logs at you, throwing the rocks at you. Oh, there goes. Yeah, there goes the camper.
Are you hurt?
He's beyond hurt, honey.
Tony! Oh! Tony!
Sorry.
He's got him. Out of that guy, he's toast.
I still think they should open that inquiry. There you go. The DVD
It's out on
is
DVD,
out.
but it is on YouTube, so I'll put up the link for that one as well.
Wow. Okay.
I think there's only about 3 films out of the 14 that are not on YouTube. So
Now,
yeah.
all of you sitting there that are actually, you know, investigators, field researchers going, what have they done to the legacy of Yeti?
Hey, I didn't make any of these films.
Don't
I'm just
shoot the
showing
messenger.
I'm
I
just
mean, this
showing
is
you.
what happens in popular culture.
Yeah.
And popular culture sometimes can be the savior of research. It can be
Or
the
it could be
death
its
of it.
downfall.
The death of it completely. I
Yeah.
think at that time, everything started to happen. Look at this great, I think it's Frank
What's this?
Frazetta, isn't it? That beautiful
Frank
artwork
Frazetta.
there.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And look at that.
Wendigo.
Yeah,
Now,
Wendigo.
Wendigo is a different thing again. It's not a, that's an Indian, like a cannibalistic kind of
really
creature.
I'm not sure where Wendigo goes today. But you know one thing I remember.
We've got a Wendigo film, you know that, don't you?
What's the name of that? Can you remember?
Oh, my God, something. You know, the one where it's filmed in a resort?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The Wendigo. I can't remember the name
now. It's not a bad
now.
film at all.
It's a Canadian film. But the Wendigo is more of a Canadian, you know, is it Inuit people's mythology and stuff? And it's a cannibalistic.
Right.
It eats people. That one, there's no two ways about it.
Well, you know, when recently, especially in the last 3 years, we've heard a lot about fake news. Well, I'll tell you what fake news was. It was Weekly World News.
Oh, my God.
Was completely fake news.
You remember the 70s and the 80s?
But here's this little synchronistic nod when I was looking through imagery. Bigfoot goes to the movies.
So what was that article about?
It's a little bit of a potted history of Bigfoot films.
Oh, right, okay. Could you see what films were there?
Yeah. They're not as independent as ours, and you can go full screen and look at that at home.
Okay.
And please, this is a very visual program. I know those people on audio are going, what is J. Katz and Aspasia doing?
You know.
But we had to go to the movies. We had to go visually on this. But look, when you think about it, Bigfoot's courting advice.
Oh, yeah.
Now, who would that be for?
I don't
Bears?
know.
I mean, what is
I
that?
have no clue.
Bigfoot's courting advice.
Not
When
even
you
going
think
there.
about Bigfoot's courting advice, well, then maybe this next product is what you'd really need to use.
What's that?
And that is skank ape.
Skank ape. What's that?
It's Bigfoot
phenomenon.
Pheromone.
Oh, pheromone spray.
Phenomenon. It's pheromone. You are right. You need to go to the optometrist.
One spray will make you make his wood knock. Oh, my God.
You need an eye test there, darling. You really do.
I didn't think it was going to go there, but hey.
Yeah.
Why
and
not?
I think that, in a way, it's a very appropriate way
knocks,
for
eh?
talk about wood knock.
God.
You know, it leads you to wonder about things like, you know, I've got wood. You know, I mean, it's you know, anyhow.
Oh,
what a
not even gonna
stupid,
touch
silly
that.
way to go.
Literally.
But look, no matter what corruption
Yeah.
culture brings to bear on the relic hominid or the spiritual ancestor that wanders through the forest, taking care of us, whoever this turns out to be,
Whatever it turns out to be.
it has been there with humankind since the dawn of history.
And all over.
And as you were
All
saying
over.
here, looking at these glyphs, dating way back into prehistory.
Yeah.
So please do not let cinema bite. And I think it's too much of a job for us to tackle a part two as we go out of the 70s into the 80s, 90s, because it is phenomenal now.
Yeah, it's huge. It's too much.
Dr. Dean Bertrand has been doing the Midwest Weird Fest, which we'd love to bring that to Brian Henderson film to. It's lost forever. That
Maybe next
got
year,
here.
we'll see.
Well, maybe the year after.
Okay.
But anyway, he has had so many great filmmakers, and a couple of them are dealing directly with the subject of Bigfoot, and they're making astounding films. We've got Small Town Monsters making incredible documentaries. So, I mean, I guess there's been an explosion. It has never been a subject that has not brought anything but huge ratings, lots of interest, and captivated people worldwide. So what we thought we'd do here on this, and please excuse us, but we can't help it. We live in a warehouse full of film. And full of films, most of them no one ever wanted to collect or keep anyway.
And from these trailers, you can see why.
But we
love
actually
them.
take delight and celebrate in human achievement and failure,
Against all
ironically,
odds.
all at the same time.
Because
it's
a lot of
David
these-
versus Goliath.
Absolutely.
It is human beings versus Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because to make a film, the art form of filmmaking is one of the most expensive art forms to produce art.
So it's one of the most mystifying and
so-
intimidating
Well, it just
forms.
costs a lot. And I think, these people, because most of them are very low budget filmmakers, have gone out and against all odds have made these films in spite of, everything.
So we have to thank the Untold Radio Network for giving this opportunity to go psychotronically insane with the parallel hominid. And
This is a byproduct of this whole, this genre, this whole, this network. Most of the podcasts are about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and this is the fallout. This is what happens.
Yeah, this is
you
what
know?
you bring. And when you bring in the X
This is what
factor
you've created.
from 16 hours of your future, America, this is what
This
can
is what you're
occur.
going to get. Anyway,
But we've actually had a lot of fun together here.
we have.
We've had a few moments where these films just still astound me
Yeah.
and befuddle me today. And I guess, in a way, they're allegorical. They're metaphorical when it comes to
Art
the
imitating
nature.
life or life imitating art.
We're
you know?
still confused by the actual reality
Yeah.
of what we're dealing with
Mhm.
in terms of this subject matter. And you just add the exploitation element to that and you take it into deep space.
Yeah.
Well, at least
Well,
the Italians did.
The takeaway is if you do come across a Bigfoot, don't freeze him, don't tranquilize him, and bring him back to the city. Otherwise, it's all going to go pear-shaped.
It is.
You're better off checking him out in the wild and leaving him there.
Now, should we give the last word here? Because I believe this is, I didn't start the fire, but this man certainly did, all the way from New Zealand, Sir Edmond Hilary.
Mm.
And we'll just see if we can get that little piece up with the Sherpas to end this incredible episode.
Okay.
Yeti, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch go to the movies. You've been with J. Katz and Aspasia on the Profound Untold Radio Network. And go and check out the rest of those podcasts. We're actually now considering to dump all our subscriptions and just listen to our colleagues online.
Well, that's all you've been doing.
There is not one boring episode.
No,
I
no.
feel challenged.
Mm.
I feel enriched.
Mm.
I feel excited. And I feel like sometimes you just want to get in there and wring their frigging necks. But that is the joy of being on Untold Radio.
Absolutely.
And we are down South Anomalies. Now, if you just move that in a little bit.
Do you think it's going to play? No.
Okay.
No.
All right. It's
She's
not
not
going to
gonna
play.
play.
Can we load that up now? No.
No, I can't.
No. Isn't it amazing? It's all a time factor.
Oh, it is.
All right.
Oh, well, look, this was Sir Edmond Hilary, and it's the scalp, the piece of scalp
Yes.
that was in the monastery. And I don't know, they checked the
I
hair.
know what.
and-
If we can't get that to play, I reckon we go to a part of Down South Anomalies. Let's go to Kilcoy and have a look at what happened
As the
there.
economies of small country towns around Australia evolve, tourism is often cited as the next focus. Some places have reefs or rainforests, but in the foothills of the Sunshine Coast, they have the Yowie. Alleged sightings of the mythical
where a lot of my
creatures
family
dates back
is,
to the
actually.
late
Stop it.
1800s,
We could
and
use
this
them as
week the
prey.
community revamped the tourist draw card.
Here we go. Well, it's not Sir Edmond Hilary, but and check this. This is the reworking.
Version of
Wow.
the original statue of the ape-like creature that has been supposedly
It's
spotted.
one of the
in the
worst
area.
statues I've ever seen in my life.
Icon of the Kilcoy region. Does great things for tourism. It's been around since the 1800s, 1842.
The Yowie story took
I think
hold
it's been
in
around
December
way before.
1979 when two students from Brisbane had an encounter while camping in nearby bushland. They
Sure
were
they were
confronted with a
smoking
huge...
something.
Oh, don't say that. Of course they weren't. They don't need to, you know that.
No, I know that.
Years
Don't add to
later,
that. I
there
love
are
this.
similar stories.
I believe in you.
Stopped and looked at us and then went off into the bush. I said, "You're kidding me." "No," she said, "that's fair dinkum." I said, "And whereabouts was this?" She said, "It was just outside Kilcoy here near. We're just about to cross Sandy Creek."
Yowie hunters and media descended on the small town, and suddenly Kilcoy was the Yowie capital. The local shire was quick to capitalise, overseeing the construction of a Yowie park.
And then you say, "Kilcoy, oh, is that where that Yowie's up on a stand in the park?" And I said, "That's the one."
Yowie pins.
Like the big banana, the
Yowie
big
coasters.
merino.
The big
The local
Yowie.
rugby team is known as
The big sheep.
Yowies. You can get a Yowie burger at the servo, and soon there'll be Yowie ale on tap at the pub. Once known as a
Wow.
timber
course they will.
town, then for dairy farming, things have changed as surrounding land has been carved up.
We have a big abattoir in Kilcoy, but I think
big abattoir
tourism
as well.
is sitting at
What do they
number one.
slaughter
as far
Yowies
as,
in there?
our
Yeah.
economic drive.
They've even used it in the town's tourism brand. But does the elusive bush dweller exist?
I believe enough to think
Of
that they were
course.
here, whether they still are.
Guarantee or not, the town is keeping the
After
Yowie
seeing
going.
that statue, they've probably
Nathan
moved
Morris,
on.
ABC News, Kilcoy.
What's in the park? Is it just a park?
It's just a park,
Okay,
I'd say.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it.
All right.
That's it for this episode 22.
We
Yeah,
hope you've
what
enjoyed
was
it.
was it called? Yeti, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch go to the movies.
You've been incredibly overexcited during this.
I have.
And your script's been all over the shop.
Yes. It was all handwritten, don't you?
And you can't even read your own handwriting.
No, I can't, because I haven't got a printer, and I don't want to.
I think the whole nature of this, it's like media reading itself.
Yeah.
It's like a film within a film within a film. It's like the Curse of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Right. And you and I start to descend into Z-grade actors.
We do.
Along with the people that we're showing here.
We can't help ourselves.
We're not here to laugh at those people. We're here to laugh.
We're here to celebrate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, as you said before, it is David versus Goliath. And they've done an incredible job in actually getting that art out there against all odds, no matter how flawed it is.
Yeah.
And there's always truth in even the wildest areas of research, cinema, and popular culture. Thank you for spending time with us, ladies and gentlemen. You've been on Down South Anomalies. My name's Jay Katz. My wife is Aspasia. Sometimes I slip into her theatrical name, Miss Death.
Miss Death.
And if you... around this lady late at night
for a reason.
Yeah, you'll it's that Greek temperament in your soul. I love it. And at the moment we're floating somewhere. We don't drink, but we're probably just sipping on some sort of non-alcoholic cocktail.
No, I'm just going for the cordial. It's free.
All right. Oh, well, it is free on those cruise ships.
It is. I love a good cruise.
All right. I guess it's too late at night when we're pre-recording this. We're losing it.
Yeah, we are. But anyway.
Natural high, and that's the fumes of all this emulsion film going vinegar on us.
Exactly.
You've been in the Moonmeson Archives with us from Down South Anomalies.
And we'll be back next week with another great show, I'm sure. All right. Good night.